you, Dr. Yanthan, Dr. Yanthan, Dr. Long, and friends. It's really my privilege to be with you this afternoon, and more than chairing this session, in fact, I feel more privileged to be with you and learn from you also. As Dr. Yanthan has already announced the names of the speakers here, I will not be repeating the names. Now I'll straightforward invite Mr. Chebin to make his presentation, and every speaker will be taking 15 to 20 minutes. And after all presentations are over, then we'll start the question answer session. I will in fact tell the speaker before the 5 minutes are left. I'll just I'll caution the speaker that 5 minutes are left, so that he gets justice and he gets time to do justice to the topic. So now I invite Mr. Chebin to make the presentation.
I want to get that thing a little closer, please. You can just keep on.
Yeah, I want to praise God for this opportunity and also extend my gratitude to the Naga Scholars Association led by Dr. Yanthan for this wonderful opportunity to come and share my thoughts. As the chair has introduced my topic, it's understanding Russia's sovereign democracy as a counter narrative to the Western model of liberal democracy. To begin with, I want to look at democracy and what actually democracy means. And I think if we are to revisit democracy, and I'm sure all of us here would have a very good understanding of what democracy, or maybe a better understanding of what democracy is. But I think if I am to look at democracy, I'm reminded of Abraham Lincoln's definition of democracy, where he says that the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And while locating people as an essential foundation of democracy, I think the essence of democracy lies in the openness and the transparency in which the relationship of the representatives and the governed operates. But however, as simple as it is to profess what democracy is, it is also difficult to practice in that sense. And this is where the people question democracy in that sense, on the various limitations that democracy as a concept also lies. And Russia, for that matter, has also been one that has often questioned what the Western model of democracy professes in that sense also. And this is also one reason why it has engaged the international scholars in looking at democracy and what is democracy. But however, I think what we fail to do is that we fall in the existing narratives of comparing what democracy is between country A and country B. And in that sense, while we are engaged in that comparative study of what country A and country B democracy is, I think we somehow fail to see some of the values, the pertinent values, democratic values that some countries may actually be practicing, which may be contextually important for that country itself alone. And on that note, I want to also say that that is why democracy, I think there is no full-fledged democracy in that sense. That there is no full-fledged model of democracy that can say that it's the perfect model of democracy. And I believe that, and so many scholars also reasserts that democracy is an open discourse, and it is an ongoing process where countries try to accommodate certain changes according to the circumstances and changes of time. And in that sense, even I think when the idea of democracy first started, later on it started accommodating the ideas of civil liberties and rights in terms of socio-economic, political rights, and also the idea of freedom of expression and so on. And so, having said that, I want to now look at what is sovereign democracy, and why does Russia profess or contest the idea of, why does Russia contest the idea of the Western model of democracy by putting forward the idea of the sovereign democracy. And while the idea of sovereign democracy was something which was coined and put forward by a person called Vladislav Surkov in 2006, where by putting forward the idea of sovereign democracy, he is basically trying to put two central themes in the picture. One is the sovereignty of Russia, where they are saying that there are certain aspects of Russia that and also a reminder and reassertion of to the global actors, that Russia is different, and Russia has its own sovereign sanctity, which separates Russia from other countries in that sense by claiming that it has certain national freedom and independence that stands out as different from others, and this also in a way a form of reassertion that they want to live as a free community that is not subjected or influenced by others. Now the second thing is, by reasserting democracy, they are saying that, look, we have certain practices that is certainly applicable only to Russia, and I think it is important that Russia does not buy the idea of so-called existing Western model of democracy. And I think in that sense, they have also experimented with democracy of the West in the past with the leaders like Gorbachev and Yeltsin, and they have seen that things have not turned pretty much the way they would have expected. And I think that is one reason why Russia says that we need to come up with an idea of democracy that is different from what is already existing. And also the idea of sovereign democracy is also a byproduct of the Russia's past and the experiences that they have gone through, and where Surkov also says that Russia in the past has been unjust, the leaders, and in the sense that because of the unwillingness and the inability to sort of accommodate the interests and conflicts and internal ideas, and to stabilize internal conflicts, or sort of to come to a conclusion to some certain discourses, I think that is how they have failed, and this is how Surkov says that this idea of sovereign democracy is a product of the past, and this is where they want to put forward a new idea of democracy that would be more accommodative rather than the past, And so now, why is Russia pushing forward the idea of sovereign democracy? There are certain preconditions attached to it, and then one of the reasons is globalization and its larger reality. And Russia asserts and believes that globalization has cut across borders, and it's a larger reality that a country cannot negate. But what they are saying is that in the process of assimilating the global the world into that very global village, what Russia is asserting that there are certain temptations and certain possibilities that would result in a global domination, and in that sense they are very wary of what another country could do in the name of using globalization, and so that is also one reason. And it also emanates from the insecurities that Russia, and apprehensions that Russia has, that they feel that Russia was also not ready to import the idea of Western democracy, like I said, out of the failed experiences that they had. So they were not ready, and which is why, and also they feel that to bring in the Western model of democracy at this time when Russia was not ready. I think they feel that it would riddle the society into the further question of problems of corruption and the influences of the oligarchs and the shadow economy that was very much persistent, prevalent at that time of when this idea of sovereign democracy was instituted. But to look at Russia's sovereign democracy from a very critical prism, one could say that, of course, the consensus for a non-Western model of democracy, it gained momentum only during the leadership of Vladimir Putin, and he has been very much instrumental in putting forward this idea. Because when he took up the leadership, the discourse on sovereign democracy, for that matter, he took that discourse on sovereign democracy to another level by introducing certain ideas that would be culturally and historically specific to Russia, and that is not an important idea of the Western model of democracy. And that is how Putin says that we need to develop our own model where we fit the model of democracy according to our historical and cultural practices. And in that sense, but there's also been question that in promoting this idea of sovereign democracy, there's also a question that rises among the scholars that is Putin actually trying to promote his personal relations by putting this idea of and trying to legitimize his political leadership in the country. That is also a question that has also been raised, which we can discuss later. But here I think we need to understand and also be reminded that the Russian model of democracy is not aimed to create an anti-Western reaction to the model, but to the existing model of democracy, but just like I said, just to develop a political system that Russia could call it as their own, and so at a time when Russia is asserting for sovereign democracy, we can also see that we can ask how democratic is Russia in that sense, how democratic is this so-called sovereign democracy, and I feel that Russia is enmeshed in a lot of paradoxes in that sense, because while on the other hand they are asserting that Russia is democratic and they are pushing forward certain characteristics or essential features of what is democracy, but then we can see that there is evidence of an increasing centralization of executive power. There is this strong bureaucratic control, and the most important thing is that there is a limited power of even the judiciary, and also that there's a limited space for the public dissent and civil society growth. And I think this has been perfectly exemplified during the anti-corruption movement that was led by Alexei Navalny. He is a very strong crusader on anti-corruption in Russia, and I think then the state has come down upon them very strongly in that sense, in curbing their voice of dissent in that sense. And there is also this thing that is seen as there's a political stagnation in Russia in that sense, where it is said that the united Russia that is led by Putin, it's not giving space for political representation and equality in that sense. And in a way, by doing that, they are denying the opportunity of checks and balances even in Russia. And so there's this sort of political stagnation by hegemonizing the power of the united Russia, and I think even in that sense, during the last elections, we could see that united Russia, I think, roughly got around 76% of the votes, whereas the next closest party that got votes was just 9.3 or something like that by the Communist Party. So you can see how there's a stark inequality. Even I mean, of course, there is the people voting, but then how there's this stark difference between the voting patterns also, and so why is there this contestation, between the West and the Russia with the model of democracy? And in that sense, Russia is saying that because the power of Russians and the power of the party is wielded by Russia, within Russia, and the power that the will is derived by the legitimacy of the people. They say that Russia must say what it does and not what others say. That is what Surkov would quote. And by doing so, they want to create a sort of distinct national future of its own. And whereas Russia's democracy has often been questioned by many others, that Russia is not a democracy in that sense. That Russia is a managed democracy, and it is a guided democracy, or some even say it is a decorated democracy. But Putin very strongly reasserts and rejects this very claims of the people, others saying that Russia is guided or is a managed democracy, because he believes that that Russia is trying to institutionalize some certain practices that are inherent and contextually relevant only for Russia. And I don't know, and I've still not been able to understand what he means by that, saying that that is also one thing. But but I think there's this very wrong negative image that has been portrayed by the West with regard to the US, with regard to Russia, and I think this, by putting forward this idea of sovereign democracy, Russia is also trying to counter the very notion of very negative notion that is portrayed by the West with regard to Russia, and in international relations, the image projection is very important for that sense. So I think, and this is also one reason why the West, when Russia is trying to counter that very negative image projection and say, and one of the central argument with regard to even the West and the Russian model is that, on the other hand, Russia says that the model is aim at institutionalizing model that they call their own, and that fits their own way of life. On the other hand, the West is saying that it's very critical. The West is very critical of Russia's model because, the scholars believe that the West is actually unhappy because of the inability to take control of the political life of Russia, and that because I think since the Second World War, the West has especially the US has technically extended its patronage over all other countries, and this inability of the US to extend their control over the political life of Russia is what is sort of creating sort of animosity even creating an animosity between the West and the US. What is important is that I think there's this what is missing in this Western attempt to understand Russia's model of democracy, or for that matter Russia's political system, is also the inability of the West to understand Putin's larger insight of Putin's political imaginations. That they are also not able to understand what Putin is actually thinking, and that also riddles the minds of, I think, the West in that sense also. And so I think to conclude, what is the way forward for Russia in that sense is that, like I said that in the beginning, that the democracy is an ongoing process, and so can we see Russia's employment of sovereign democracy as and can we see Russia's employment of sovereign democracy and be accepted as another institutional innovation at looking at while studying democracy, and of course, Russia's foundation of democracy may not be very mature and is still in a very nascent stage. But I think Russia is still trying to promote the idea of democracy, maybe, and of course there are so many limitations on the part of Russians. But then I think for Putin to be able to hold together Russia, and that there has been still no sort of political upheaval, I think speaks for itself that that at least, and in that sense, even in an interview conducted with regard to Putin's image, a lot of the people are still very happy with what Putin is and what he's been doing, because I think he has been one person that has really pushed Russia out of the economic situation, instability, and then have Russia to regain economic stability in that sense also. And people, even the minorities, are also actually very happy. More than 50% of the people seem to be very happy with the leadership of Putin in that sense also. I mean, yeah, and as my topic, my thesis topic is on soft power, and I'm looking at soft power. I was looking at how sovereign democracy could be employed as a soft power for Russia, and I think for the moment that the possibility of using soft power as a employing sovereign democracy as a soft power model, I think that looks a little bleak for now. But then, if there's a space given for public dissent, and the growth of civil society and political participations without any conditions, where there's this freedom of the press and the media, I think it would go a long way in sort of establishing a better image of Russia. And as I conclude, I don't know how relevant it is, this idea of sovereign democracy is to the Nagas, but then I think when we talk about sovereign democracy, and as a Naga, while aspiring for sovereignty, I think I was just seeing that if this idea of sovereign democracy could be applicable to us also, that while asserting for some, and I feel that, and for me, I've not been in the field, and then I've not studied the political system of the villages and in the Naga society, but I think there are certain practices that stands out as different from the existing model of democracy in that case. And I think, and I just leave this question that if this could also be applied to